there's another handout called Creating a Winning Business Model. Your business model is important for so many things, but really when you think through your business model very, very completely, you'll have a power over the future of your business that you didn't have before, that you didn't experience before. And it gets into owning the details of the how, which is what we talked about earlier. So if you look at these 5 statements, these 5 components, is what do you sell, to who, at what price, what does it cost to sell what you sell, and how do you reach customers? Those 5 questions, if you can answer them successfully in a sense, so that they are cogent, they make sense, they add up, and they add up to a profit, that's what will get you a long way down the road to getting from somebody's left brain to right brain, because you've answered these questions. So what I did for you on this little chart that you take with you is I gave you a statement about what the investors really care about in this situation. So if you, just as an example, when you look at what do you sell, we often are so interested in what we're selling, you know. This is my business and this is what I sell, this is the service, this is the product. They want to know what that solves and why that's important. So if you don't have a very, very compelling problem that you're solving in the world or for some specific group, Max talked about tribes, and that's a very intriguing concept from a marketing perspective. From an investor's perspective, though, the tribe better either be sizable or highly interested in what you have because it's going to save all of their lives in some way, or they've got a lot of money and they can't wait to spend it on you. So, you know, tribe is relative. Coca-Cola's tribe is, what, 3 billion of us who've probably had one in the past year? So what they want to know is what problem you solve. And if you can just master that one thing, what is the real problem that you solve in the world, that's going to get you a long way to credibility and to a yes from an investor. Obviously, you know who you're selling it to or who you intend you're selling your product or your service to. Investors want to know why. And we're not going to be able to get into all of the nuances of that tonight, but the why question is pretty important because it gets into who actually is going to maybe be the purchaser or the end user of the product or service that you have. And there are a lot of nuances to that that you have to think through. The pricing is the same way. It's not a science, it's not an art, it's somewhere in between. But when you don't have your pricing set right, when you don't understand how to price your product, when you don't really have a clue as to what you're going to charge for your product, except, this is what we want to charge for it, that will get you a no pretty fast when a sophisticated person takes a look at your plans. They know that if your pricing isn't precise or isn't based on a lot of good data that you've collected or conversations you've had with people, that your whole business model will fail because you don't know how much revenue and profit margin you're going to have. Everybody know profit margin, revenue, those things, right? So you have your sales, you have your expenses, and you have your margin. But you don't know what your sales are if you have no idea what your pricing is going to be. So there's a lot of work that goes in at the front side to determine these things. And then what does it cost to sell what you sell? That's probably the weakest point for most people in young companies, is really understanding what the costs are. There's so many variables and so many different ways that you can structure and form a business. I've had clients that were manufacturing companies and were changed to licensing companies for that very reason. The cost factors were never going to work, so they had to make changes. Until you understand your costs, again, you can't put your business model together. So I'm telling you all these things by way of saying that these 5 questions, if you can answer them in real detail, you're going to have a good chance of, whenever you're in a conversation with an investor, in getting them from that left brain over here, where you want them to get. And from there, you can create in a conversation things like, what are the terms of your investment, and how soon can you make the check payable to our company, rather than, can I trust you, are you an idiot, do you really know what you're doing,